Yes, indeed, friends. I'm in the Alice Springs airport, and in this video, I might have to make it in two. I'm going to go into the actual methods I use to get out of to kick the black dog. So, for me personally, what I first like to talk about is resolving trauma, which is clearing some of the bad shit from your past. So I don't like to use the word trauma because, especially for blokes, when they think about trauma, they think they have to go through some sort of sexual abuse or bad physical abuse or something very traumatic for it to be trauma. But younger selves take on lots of small things as trauma, and sort of especially the Aussie stigma of toughen up makes us want to push down little things we think doesn't affect us. So I'll just explain it this way. If there's anything in your past that you go back in your mind and think about, and it makes you feel emotion in your body, it needs to be cleared. So emotion is in fear, hurt, anger, sadness, guilt, a breakup, it could be a grandparent dying, anything that's still strong. If you go back and feel it and you feel emotion coming up, it needs to be cleared. And you'll be surprised how even somewhat small events still recur today. And what happens in our mind is we have a thought come up in our mind. Perhaps something happens in an event near us, reminds us of something. The thought comes up that brings up that emotion, and we try and squash it. And in the last few videos, I've been talking about how stress is caused by squashing down emotions, not letting them play out. Because we don't want to feel the negative emotion, so we're trying to hide from it to protect ourselves. And you'll be amazed how often these things come out. And so when I take my men's retreats and things, I get guys to work through these old we call them traumas, but old emotions to clear them. And some people have been through old traumatic events such as sexual abuse and things, and these definitely need to be cleared. And one thing that most people don't know is that you can clear everything from the past. Any emotional event from the past, no matter how significant or intense, you can clear the emotion from it if you're willing to. And ultimately what you want to do is take on the learnings from it and the protection from that old event, but let go of the emotion so it no longer holds you back from taking action. And you'll be amazed that the things that little things that you thought are no longer affecting you, especially for blokes, they say, I'm over that now. You're generally not. If you can still feel the emotion going back in the past, it has to be cleared. So how to do that? Look, that is going to take some work that's going to take some deeper work. I use emotional freedom techniques and different things one-on-one and in group sessions, but I want you to be aware of that. And I'll show you some different experiences I've had and how that's affected me, okay? So these are ways to get at that emotional trauma without doing counselling. Now, one is what I normally do if I'm feeling real shit, I want to spend time in isolation. That's alone, away from distractions. So what I do when I'm here in Alice Springs, I'll go out in the desert for generally 3 to 5 days, and I'll take just some personal development books. There's no phone reception out there. I'll take very little food, maybe just apples and lots of water. The main reason for that is that you have to face boredom. And what I've learned from doing Vipassana courses, which is a 10-day silent meditation retreat, you're sitting, no talking for 10 days. And so what I felt was boredom. The hardest thing I felt was boredom. I soon realized it was not actually boredom. It's my body being uncomfortable about thoughts coming up that I don't want to face. And when you're sitting there for many hours at a time, you have thoughts in your brain and you try and push them away. And the secret is to become very still and just allow whatever's there to flow out. It's inside your body, trying to fight what's there. And so I've just found going into boredom and what I'd say discomfort is a very powerful thing. The reason I fast out there, fasting for me, food is probably my one addiction. That's my go-to. That whenever I feel uncomfortable or low energy, whatever, I'll go to food, especially sugar. That's my go-to. Unconsciously, I just go for that. So when there's no food to eat around me, I'll naturally get bored. I'll look for food. There's nothing there, and then I have to face the shit inside me. What you're actually feeling when you're driven towards an addiction, like food, drugs, porn, whatever it is, you're looking for a quick fix of dopamine or serotonin. But if you get deeper, if you don't have that thing there, you go inside yourself, you feel there's a discomfort inside yourself you're trying to avoid. That's really what you go into addiction for. Hangriness is in fact not some phenomena that generally women talk about it. Hangriness is because you're using food to subdue your emotions. And your emotions come up and you get hungry and you're pushing that shit down. So when you don't have food, the hangriness comes up and you have to deal with that shit. So that's what I do with myself and with people I'm putting through. So fasting is one. Time on your own is one. And when I talk about clearing the emotional trauma, there's many ways you can do that. If working one-on-one with someone like myself or many different professionals about going in and clearing past traumas is very powerful. And I think you'll be surprised by the link between that old trauma, subduing emotions, and how that causes stress, and that to depression. Underneath depression, even though you feel numb and dead inside, in my opinion, in my own workings with myself, I found that my depression is actually my way of avoiding discomfort. I'll go into that numb state so I feel sleepy and tired. And I used to find when I get into had to work on goals or something in the past where there's restrictions, I just feel sleepy and tired all of a sudden. When I was going through personal development or reading a book of mine, I'm like, gee, I might go have a sleep instead of reading this book. So I found depression at a deeper level. It's my unconscious, my way of getting away from discomfort. And that discomfort can be very extreme things in your unconscious, or it can be things around you, perhaps relationships going down, or guilt that you've fucked up and hurt someone and you don't want to face that. It can be many things. That's what I found for me. And while I'm on the subject, I guess I want to address the point that for me personally, I find that I address depression as something I can change inside me. And I know a lot of people talk about it as a brain deficiency or something wrong with your brain, which could be true. I don't believe it myself. The reason I don't believe it, because that's a very disempowering belief. Because if it's your brain, that means you'll never be able to change it. It's always with you. And I don't believe that's true. I believe that everything can be changed. And I think that if you just look into clearing some of that past trauma of yours, you'll find a lot of your brain will start to light up because you're no longer deadening it. I feel it's your own body's protection trying to hide from those things. So that's something I'd look into. Hanging out by the toilets. That's the ocean right there, flying across to Perth. So real quick, I just want to finish this part of the video off. I want to talk about a few ways you can get access to healing the trauma, if you can hear me okay. And that's ways that you can do it, I guess, without putting the work in too much. So the first one I would say is holotropic breath work. Okay, this is a hyperoxygenate in the body. It's a system created by a guy called Stan Groff. You can do some research on this. Hour to hour sessions, sometimes in group, sometimes one-on-one, through heavy breathing and music. Creates a lot of healing of emotional stuff. It sounds crazy, but it works really well. It's a sort of passive, it's kind of intense work, but it's a kind of passive way to go about it. Number 2 is plant medicine, in particular ayahuasca. For me, I was talking more before about how in the everyday life we have thoughts pop up that creates emotions we don't like, and we can push that stuff away. In my experience with ayahuasca is, which is a South American drug from the rainforest. You've got to normally go to South America to experience it. It's about an 8-hour hallucination journey that normally shows you deepest fears or a lot of deep emotion. Can be good, can be bad. You can do your own research and do it. But my explanation of it is that in everyday life you'll have thoughts pop up, you can push them down and distract yourself with addictions, whether it's food or whatever your addiction is, right? When you're having experience in ayahuasca, the thought comes up, the emotion's there, and you try and push it away, and she holds it in your face. You don't have any option but to work with it, either until your 8 hours is up or until you clear it emotionally. And the last one is doing some work one-on-one with counsellors, or because I'm speaking to guys, I cannot recommend enough doing men's work. Doing one thing that really changed my life was a program called the Mankind program. The Mankind Project, the New Warrior program, which was a worldwide project to a coming of age ceremony from boy to man, which Western men no longer have. I'd deeply look into the Mankind Project and the New Warrior program. They do them all over the world. Something that changed my life and got me into running my own men's retreats because of how it changed my life. So that'll be my recommendations for ways to clear your own trauma. As you hear the toilets flushing in the background. Hopefully, dudes, that'll give you something to work on. I'm going to do one more video on the simple things to do, because I know a lot of you are just simply not going to go into this deep ass, hardcore discomfort when you're feeling real shit. So I'll put in some starter steps to get to this point. See you.